and Luffy is just left on the ground screaming, "Somebody explain to me what happened to Zoro." Okay, so today we are going to be doing a review for this arc. Well, some of my lovely patrons actually put together a pronunciation guide for me for this arc review, which was so sweet, but I still may have said that wrong. Anyway, this arc really took me by surprise, which you'll see. It started out with a certain tone, and then the tone shifted, and you know, I don't know, this is definitely one of the most emotional arcs I've read yet, and it was in a completely new way, and it's a bit too much, actually. It was a lot to take in. I finished it last night. I'm still not well. But anyway, the arc is chapters 490 through 513, volumes 50 through 53. So it was short, and I thought it was gonna be pretty chill. No, that was wrong. I'm actually gonna start this video off by talking about the cover stories, which I've mentioned in videos before that I am reading them, but I'm not talking about them I haven't been talking about them in the reviews just because there's a lot to cover in our main story. So I just haven't really mentioned the cover stories, but I really want to this time around because, well, first of all, they're quite relevant to this one, but also I really liked what the cover stories did this whole time because I love CP9, and they were such great antagonists. Like I said before, they're not the type of antagonist that you can just punch your way harder through. They were stronger than our crew, which is becoming a theme, which I love and hate. I love for the purposes of the story. I hate for the purposes of my emotional stability. But anyway, I really, really loved this crew. I also just love them because they betrayed me, and that's great storytelling. So I was happy to see them kind of come back together, rescue each other, and then perform to pay medical bills. It was just really nice to get to hang out with them a little bit more after they were gone. I think that they must be the villains that I'm the most attached to at this point, other than Ghost Girl, because they're the cover story that I've enjoyed the most up to this point. Not that that's all cover stories do, but you know. I also really liked seeing the giants get to go home. That was a really sweet one. So we begin this arc with Luffy deciding not to go after Ace, which didn't expect after we found out at the end of Thriller Bark that Ace has been captured and that his little paper thingy is burning up. I thought for sure we were going to storm the castle, and I'm kind of upset that we didn't. Actually, I don't even know how to process. What is happening? I mean, what is happening in this entire arc, but how are we supposed to go after Ace now? I'm still holding on to my dreams. Anyway, it's fine. We're not going after Ace. Now, admittedly, when Luffy decided not to go after Ace for the moment, I thought, okay, fine, we have another little, what do I call them? Like a bridge arc. We have another fun little arc to give us some downtime, some recovery time between big emotional highs and lows, and then we'll go after Ace after this arc. Which, you know, that has been destroyed in my mind. I just don't know what's happening. So instead, we meet Cammy. No, Cammy. I called her Cammy the whole time I was reading, but now that I'm looking at this pronunciation guide, I'm wrong. So we meet Cammy, which is the mermaid that we met way back, I think in Saga 1 in our cover stories. So her and her starfish. So we meet them, which Luffy wants to know how she poops. Which just, of course he does. And we also know that Zoro is working out a lot, working really hard to get stronger. And I just need a deep dive POV on Zoro for a little while because nothing happened, but obviously not. Obviously, there's a lot that's going on inside of him, and he's holding it all in, and he's trying to be strong for his crew. He doesn't want his crew to know what he sacrificed, and I love him for that, but clearly there's a lot of mental strain happening, and he's working harder to become stronger, even though he just survived something that he should have never been able to survive, so he's already extremely strong, but he feels weak, and he feels like he needs to be stronger, and what is happening inside of Zoro? So Kami is our bridge to Fishman Island, and Nami wants to help Kami free her friend who has been captured by the Fishman Riders. She wants to help Kami free her friend so that, and in exchange, they figure out how to get to Fishman Island. We keep our excellent humor of this series with with Luffy aggressively blocking Nami, because who cares about Fishman Island when there's food on the line? As well as this running bit of the crew deciding that Kami is their first mermaid, deciding to forget that they've met one before. This is the only one they've ever seen. Of course. So we go to save Hatchin, who we now realize is the trumpet nose octopus from way back in Nami's arc, where we bring Nami into our crew. He's one of the bad guys, one of the people who has abused Nami her entire life and withheld her reward from her after she worked so hard to be freed, right? He's a bad guy. We don't like him. And we have been following him for cover stories as well, but honestly, those cover stories are not very fresh in my mind. I didn't care about following him after we left him behind because he was terrible. But now it all connects. We know that Kami and Hatchin have opened a cannibal shop where they sell octopus fritters, and Luffy is gonna save him so that he can eat from this disturbing shop. But it's not so easy because the captain of the fish flyers is after Sanji. I didn't call why he would be after Sanji. That was very unexpected, but that's fine. So we got some fun battle sequences. I actually think that my favorite part of this whole thing is how Luffy goes straight in to rescue Kami, saves her very easily, and then very quickly abandons her in the middle of, like, he has her, he saved her, but they're still in danger. They're still the targets. They're still out in the open and still the targets of the bad guys. And Luffy just completely abandons her out in the open to go ride a flying fish. And if that isn't Luffy, to rush into danger without thought to save someone, but then immediately abandon that person to the same danger that he just saved them from so that he can go have fun. That just fits his character, and I'm so glad it's here. But we also had some great panels with them saving Hatchin as well, and it was a good time. Oh, we also learned that Brook can put people to sleep. Did we already know that? I don't think so. It's a cool ability, even though it does have friendly fire. So I did not expect the captain of the Fishman Flyers to be after. My assumption was that he was after Sanji. Well, I had guessed Sanji or Zoro, but I was leaning towards Sanji. My guess was that there was something in their past, like before we met Sanji, maybe back after he was a kid stranded on an island, but before our crew picked him up, there was something that he had done as a chef, as a waiter, working for this restaurant because like when we met him, he was very rude and confrontational, right? So I assume that they've got some sort of beef because of the state that Sanji was in when we met him. That's a reasonable assumption. I didn't think that it was that he looked like Sanji's wanted paper. And I loved Luffy's reaction to all this, which was basically, this is weird, I'ma leave, you got this. Because that's about how I was feeling in this moment too. And then Sanji kicked a new bone structure into the guy. I mean, this series is weird. This is a weird series. So we go to this knot island where everything looks light and fluffy and fun and sweet on the surface. We have beautiful tree groves that are easily confusing. We have a society that seems pretty light and carefree. There's a great amusement park here, but underneath the surface, not very far underneath the surface, it's a horrible, horrible place. But we're just stopping here for a minute to get our ship coated with bubbles so that the sea pressure won't crush us. So no big deal. This is gonna be a light and easy arc. She thought and was immediately wrong. I mean, we were told pretty quickly once we got to this Knot Island that there are these nobles who are so stuck up that they don't even want to breathe the same air as the peasants, which, I mean, that's pretty good stuff. We know that they're bad, we know that they are inhumane, and we know, Luffy, that when they do something horrible in front of us, we need to let it go and not defend anybody's freedoms. That does sound like something that Luffy is capable of doing. No, it doesn't. Everything went wrong. And I knew it would. I knew it would. As soon as Hatchin told us that we can't act when someone's freedoms are being stolen from them right in front of, obviously Luffy has never not acted in this sort of instance, right? Not only that, but he's always rushed into danger, rushed into do what he deems appropriate in the moment, regardless of what danger is in front of him, regardless of what he's been warned about, regardless of how strong the people around him are. That has always been how Luffy is. So as soon as Hatchin tells us this, I know that he's not gonna follow these rules. Our crew ends up going to the amusement park on this island, Knot Island, and generally we get several panels of them having a really, really good time. So at this point in the reading, this has been a light, fluffy, lovely island, but we do see the darker things. We see that there are these nobles that are terrible. We see that they are slavers. We see that they killed a man in front of us, and because the guy decided, I want your fiance to be my wife now. So like he murdered a man in cold blood. He took a woman to be his wife slave. I don't know the correct term for that. But then they also, just in general, slavery is accepted here and ignored by the Navy, and it's horrible. We know this, but it's not like the series hasn't handled dark themes before, so I'm not necessarily surprised by it, but the light tone of the island has me deceived for a little bit. So at this point in the arc, while we're all hanging out in the amusement park, I'm thinking this is going to be another bridge arc, another reprieve. That's what I want to call it. Because we had the high, intense emotions of the entire Water Saga arc, right? And Thriller Bark was a nice reprieve. It was a fun little spooky island that we got to hang out at for a little while, with still some emotional moments, great fights, you know, good One Piece humor, all that stuff. So then we're here, and I'm thinking that this all feels the same. Not the same, but it all feels like that's what we're doing again. It's just another reprieve arc. And honestly, at this point, I was not that invested. I thought it was fine. I was enjoying everything that was happening, but I didn't want another reprieve arc. I wanted to continue the storyline. I wanted to go get Ace. But everything did change. So this is the part of the arc where I got really invested. It wasn't just, you know, fun times with some heavy themes, but this is where it got intense for me. So first of all, we go to the auction hall, or, well, we're looking around. Cammy gets kidnapped. That's where I should start. Cammy gets kidnapped, and we're looking around for her, going to these places that is selling humans and mer people and whatever, giants, selling people into slavery. And I knew that this was a thing that happened on the island, but it wasn't until we went into the shops and saw the shop owners calling them things, calling them products, treating them as not human, that it started to hit a little bit harder. We got Robin explaining the history of this island and the way the Navy shrugs off the human trafficking that happens here and the slavery that happens here. We actually watch Cammy get physically abused, called an it, called a product, because she's been stolen away, and now that's just her status at this point. And this is stuff, this got really hard to read really fast. And I appreciate that Oda did this. I appreciate that Oda actually took the time to build into this world real life issues that are happening in our world. And I appreciate that he did it within such a direct parallel that it's impossible for it not to feel completely real and for us to be aware that this happens to real humans. And it was really hard to read, but in a great way. I think he handled it so well. Our crew had some shining moments in contrast to this dark world that we're suddenly very deep into. We have Zoro, who went on a walk a little while ago, and now he kind of stumbles on one of our spacesuit guys in the middle of a crime, and one of the other pirates, who I haven't mentioned yet, I'll mention in a minute, kind of saves him, jumps on him, tries to not have him intervene. And Zoro, well, first of all, Zoro wants to know if they want directions because he's completely unaware of what he's just stumbled on. But then, anyway, I love that the other pirates are basically just like, let's get out of here, let's keep a low profile. But Zoro just thoughtlessly, naturally is going to help the guy, is looking for the nearest hospital because of course he is. I love that he's just on a walk, stumbles onto this crime scene, and then it's just like, I gotta clean it up. I mean, I need to go help this guy. Well, what are you gonna do? And it's like, he's a pirate now. He's not a pirate hunter anymore. He's not a good guy anymore, but it's just Zoro. But then you have Nami, who also shines in this moment, because as soon as they figure out where Cammy is, that she's that she's in this auction hall, Nami, our navigator, our most greedy crew member, easily, she's the one that says, all right, well, if we can't just bust in there and save her with our might, then we're gonna buy her. We have money. We'll throw it all at this and we will save our friend. Even Luffy, in his goofy way, tells I think it was Hatchin he says this to, quit crying, we're gonna save our friend. Even in that moment, it's not a matter, at least for Luffy, it's not a matter of, oh yeah, we'll help you out. It's, no, she's my friend now, so I'm going to protect her. So they're at the auction hall, they're gonna get Cammy back the way according to the rules, but one of these astronaut guys decides, I want the myrrh. So he outbids them instantly, which indicates that this is the time that we're gonna start using our fists. So in the meanwhile, Sanji had called in a favor for the Flying Fish Riders. They were all coming in as quickly as possible. They burst through in the most ridiculous and hilarious way possible. And then Luffy, being Luffy, instantly rushes in to save Cammy. Hatchin tries to stop him, exposing that he's an octopus. He gets shot. We get this ridiculously emotionally intense moment where Hatchin reminds Luffy, you promised me you wouldn't intervene, you wouldn't draw attention to us, followed by his confession that he knew that he was wrong all those years and he just wanted to make it up to Nami just a little bit. Man, I didn't expect to ever end up liking this guy, but again, Oda's willingness to give terrible characters redemption arcs and to make them believable and worth following and to totally shift my perspective on characters in both directions is so satisfying to read. But anyway, so Cammy has been captured and bought, Hatchie has been injured, and Luffy throws the punch. And I love that what Luffy's done is not lost on him. After he throws that punch, he just turns to his crew and he says, sorry guys, I just started a war. And I would also like to highlight his crew's reactions to this all. I mean, they're all aware that now the Navy is after them and it's gonna be bad. But their response is so typical for this crew. Zoro says, well, I didn't get to be the one to hit him. Nami says, well, you know, it's Luffy. What are you gonna do? And the rest of the crew is like, well, what can you do? This is where we are. So I think it was Chopper that, of course, starts calling out medical orders to save Hatchin, but then also, was it Chopper or Frankie that is like, okay, well, we're here, so like, let's go get the keys, let's go free Kami. And you know, I just love that Luffy literally just started a war, and their response is, well, what are you gonna do? He's our captain. Let's fight, right? Let's. What's the next step? Now, this is the point where I'm finally going to talk about all the new players that we've been introduced to, even though we were introduced to them before this moment. But I wanted to get all of this, like the first half of the arc where everything kind of builds up to this moment. I wanted to talk about all that first. And now we will talk about all of these new characters. Oh my goodness. You know what? There has been so much to process in this arc. Some of these chapters were really dense and we got a lot of information. Oh man. Let's see. So we know that Ace was captured and he's the first, he's like the right-hand man of Whitebeard, basically. And we know that essentially this means war. Whitebeard is going to go after Ace, and he's going to be the one that, you know, instigates war over there. So we have a war starting here, and I assume we have a war starting there as well, or we're about to, because Whitebeard is going to go after Ace. We know, oh man, there was so much. Let me see if I can recall it all. We know that Shanks and Buggy were part of the Pirate King's crew, which we already knew because we learned that in post-Ennis Lobby. But we also know now that Crocus is, oh, that's probably in the pronunciation. Hang on. I don't see it. So I'll just say how I want to. Crocus or something like that was also on the crew because he was trying to reunite with Brook's crew. We know that Rayleigh was the Pirate King's second in command. He was his right-hand man, and that he knows so many things. He knows about the 100-year gap in history. He knows about it. And he knows what happened at that time. And he offers us the information. and Raven almost takes it, but then she just says she's going to figure it out on her own. And then Usopp asks for it because he's the only logical one of the group sometimes, to which Luffy says, no, you don't get to know, because we're gonna figure it out ourselves, because it wouldn't be fun if we got spoilers. And I'll quit being a pirate if it can't be fun anymore. Which fits Luffy's character perfectly. But I want the answers now. Although it is very interesting that Rayleigh specifically said, that's fine, you can figure it out on your own, maybe you'll get different answers than me. But he said he knows the answers, yet they could get different answers. So does that mean that he only knows a piece of it and they may get another piece? Or does it mean that there are multiple right answers? What is happening? But he knows where the One Piece is, he knows what the One Piece is, he has all the answers, and I would like them, please and thank you. We know that the Pirate King, Roger, actually had a terminal illness, and he disbanded his crew about a year before he then turned himself over to be captured and to be executed. And he kind of began the pirate age by, you know, creating the hype around the One Piece and everything, which I think is really cool. Oh, also, Roger knew everything and saw and heard everything. What's that supposed to mean? So much information for me to process and to try to figure out how to theorize around all these little pieces of the puzzle, but that's fun. But anyway, we met Rayleigh, and he was sweet and kind. I love that he set himself up to be captured, to be sold into slavery, so that he can then just steal from his slaver and get free because he's awesome. I love that setup with him. we'll get to him more, but he's definitely one of my new favorite side characters. He's a character that I loved every minute of. He's so sweet. He's a wealth of information, and let's let him join our crew. I know he's old, but he's clearly got some fight left in him. He can be a part of our crew. We also meet all these other really high bounty pirate people that are also here in the Grand Line, which I think was great. At first, it was very overwhelming. We got kind of a quick bio on all of them very quickly back when the barkeep girl told us about them, told us that they were on the island, which, you know, is interesting, but it's a lot of information to take in at once. So I didn't spend a lot of time studying their character sheets. I didn't spend a lot of time really trying to memorize their names or faces because it was just a lot to take in. But at this point now where we are, where the world blows up, it was really fun to see them all in action. So of these supernovas, I think they're called, my favorites so far, it seems like a bad idea to always say who your favorites of anything are online, but here I am. I loved Law. His devil fruit power is, well, I don't know what it is, but he cut off a guy's head, and while that guy yelled about it, his body burned. And he can also piece people together with other objects. I don't know what he does, but I like his powers. I like his general vibe and style. He's cool. I dig him. Plus he has a polar bear. And I like the polar bear too. Plus I've seen him before. He's been in some of the cover stories, right? Or did I hang out with him in another arc? I've seen him before. I recognize him. I really like Magician Guy as well. Hawkins. Oh, I should have remembered that one. I really liked Hawkins a lot. I love his shtick of the chances of me dying today are 0%. So, you know, I'm fine. I'll fight this one. I feel that feels familiar. So I want to say I've met him before too, but I may have just read that archetype in a book before. Either way, he looks familiar and I really like him. But then when we got to see his devil fruit powers, I don't know what it is, but I really like it. It looks so cool. X Drake, that's the other one that I really liked. X Drake's character design was interesting to me from the beginning. The hat that he has created a shape that reminded me of a bird. And then when I saw the claw come out, I thought, oh, he's some sort of like giant eagle or pterodactyl. He's dinosaur, which I'm not mad about. I think his character design is one of my favorites because he matches his ability. I mean, the magician, the future telly guy, he matches his design really well as well. But I think that X Drake matches his design perfectly. It fits, and I like it a lot. I also really like the character design of Killer, though he didn't really stand out to me in any of these panels as far as what he does. I don't even remember what his power is at this point, looking back. But I do like his design a lot. So I don't remember which one of these supernovas has a higher bounty than Luffy. I think we had two that had a higher bounty than Luffy. But after I finish this review, I'm going to go back and check because I assume we'll see them again. We better. And when we do, I want to remember which ones have done more than Luffy has at this point, which seems impossible. They've defeated 2 warlords of the sea. I mean, Mariah's still alive. Moria. Thank you, comment section. But they've done a lot. So that there's at least 1, probably 2 people with a higher bounty than him, I don't know, man. That there's something there. Something really, really big. Oh, we also get introduced to Kizaru. I hope I'm saying that right. This pronunciation guide is also helping me remember names, which I'm super thrilled with. So we also are introduced to Kizaru, who I love because I love his politely asking where to find who he's looking for. Even after he's been shot at, he's not even bothered at being shot at because, you know, it doesn't affect him. But he's so polite and kind as he asks for help to find who he's looking for. And then he escalates things so much when he decides it's time to fight now. And he's terrifyingly powerful. Oh, not only is he incredibly powerful, but he can, I don't know, regenerate after he's been ripped apart. I don't know. He's a pretty powerful foe, and I'm very interested and terrified. So anyway, let's backtrack a little bit. Luffy just started a war by punching a guy. And now that we've been introduced to a million new people, Luffy, a couple of these supernovas decide, I'll go handle the ruckus. I'll go take care of things, which so it's three of them. It's Law, Luffy, and, oh, I don't remember the third one. Was it the Kid? Isn't that the one with a higher bounty than, you know what? I don't know. I need to refresh my memory on these things. Anyway, there are three of them, three of the supernovas that decide, including Luffy, which I'm pretty sure he's one of the supernovas, all decide we're going to go and fight. And I love the banter between them. I love how they're trying to issue commands, trying to be the big guy that takes care of things, and how they kind of insult each other and are irritated and want to be the big guy of the scene, but then they end up working together and fighting together really, really well, having some great banter, teasing Luffy after he goes small. And then at the end, I think it was Law that said, we'll see each other again, and when we do, we're gonna be enemies. And I love that dynamic. I love that trope of people who are fighting, willing to team together to fight together to accomplish what they want, but then they part ways still as rivals. And we'll let each other go this time, but next time it's gonna be a fight. I love that. I love that. So we're fighting Pawpaw. Some fellow drops from the sky. I don't care about him. I don't know him. Why are you here? He was an inventor guy. He was one of the people that is creating these Pawpaws. So instantly we know that this Pawpaw is not our Pawpaw because Zoro instantly recognizes there's something different about this guy, right? And we were told back in Thriller Bark that he was invented somehow, that he was experimented on, worked on to make him as invincible as he is. So he's basically a cyborg, like Frankie, right? And I have so many thoughts around all that. But anyway, our team starts fighting him, and I start getting scared because Luffy goes straight to Gear 2, Zoro is weak, and our team is giving their all in this fight. It's an amazing fight. I love it. We have some really tough moments, like when Zoro takes a hit and can't get back up immediately, and Luffy looks at him and he's like, you were hit so hard, you're hurt so bad that you can't move, which that's something. Because Luffy, in every fight that we've faced up to this point, when it's time to fight, he laughs. And he's like, let's go. My team is powerful. I'm powerful. We'll punch harder. We'll get through it. We'll punch harder. We'll think smarter. We'll get through it. But he instantly notices that something is different about Zoro. He instantly notices that Zoro's hurt bad enough that he's not getting back up. And so Luffy is from the start thinking a little bit differently. But he doesn't realize, he doesn't realize that the reason Zoro is weak right now is because of what he's taken for Luffy. This whole scene is like, this whole fight is a lot. It's a lot. But we also had some amazing fight moments, like Robin, who I think is, I don't know what the fandom thinks, but I think that she's so underrated, despite knowing how the fandom feels about her. I bet everybody loves her. But she's such an easy character to fade into the background. But then she has these powerhouse moves, like when she forced down the jaw of Pawpaw and forced the explosion to happen inside of his mouth. But then there were also amazing scenes like when Zoro told Sanji to hit him over to Zoro so that Zoro could fight. And Sanji is really concerned about Zoro, which is just... So Sanji's really concerned about Zoro, and he's like, you're just being stubborn at this point. but he still does what he says. He still kicks him over to Zoro so that Zoro can hit him. So they finally defeat this version of Pawpaw, and we find out that it's version number 4. So we know that there are 3 more of these. And this isn't the only duplicate of Bible Guy, the one that we know from Thriller Bark. And in comes number 1, which I have thoughts about that. But we'll get to it when it's time for me to put the tinfoil hat on at the end of the video. But anyway, I'm scared for this crew. They have already fought to the point of extreme weakness, and they've only fought one of the Pawpaws. And we know that there are 3 more. So I want them to get out of there. And thankfully, they're on the same page as me. So they decide to split up. And I need to make a note that Sanji, when they decide to split up, Sanji turns to Zoro and asks him if he's going to be okay. I have loved these two's dynamics for a while now, pretty much since Water 7 saga started a while ago. I love how they bicker. I love how everything turns into a physical altercation. I love how they lean on each other and fight next to each other, and they're an incredible team. But at the end of the day, they're still going to call each other names and get under each other's skin so easily. But after Zoro almost died, taking on Luffy's pain, a real shift happened. I mean, Sanji still makes fun of Zoro. Zoro still snaps at Sanji. But Sanji knows something about Zoro that makes him really respect him. And now he's suddenly afraid for his friend and genuinely worried that he's too weak now and constantly has his eyes on Zoro. Zoro's pissed about it. He doesn't appreciate the extra attention that Sanji's giving him, but that means a lot to me. Sanji looking out for his moss head means a lot to me. Brook stood out to me in this arc, which I'm super grateful. Again, I think that the way Oda did it is really, really smart because Brook is still a background character. He's still not stealing the spotlight. The crew that we've known from the beginning and that we're the most attached to are the ones that are still shining the brightest. But Brook is getting little moments in the fight as well as in the dialogue that are making him shine very subtly. I loved Brook's fight scenes, but then also when Usopp jumps on Zoro's back for Zoro to take him away to protect him, and Zoro tells him, wait, I'm not. And he doesn't want to admit that he's not strong enough, that he isn't able to do what he normally can. But then Brook sees it, because he also saw what Zoro took, and he's like, I got your back. I got your cover. And he's also looking out for Zoro. And I love it, man. I love it. I love this crew. And on a similar level of loyalty, we have Nami pushing Frankie in front of their opponent so that she'll be safe. I love this crew. And this is the part where the emotions escalate from like a 50 to like a 5,000. So Zoro gets hit with a beam and can't get up. He's done. And what's his face? Dadgummit. Let me look. Kizaru is gonna finish him off with one of his speed of light kicks, which I guess I haven't talked about his devil fruit at all. I guess I don't fully understand it. He's able to harness the power of light. It seems like everything he does is at the speed of light with the power of light. I don't fully understand, but it's all to do with light. Anyway, he's about to kick Zoro with his light kick. And I was so afraid. I was so afraid that this was the moment where we were going to lose a crew member, which I thought we were going to in the last arc as well. But Zoro is lying on the ground, helpless. And what can happen? I mean, like, how could he be saved from this moment? His crew is fighting, trying to take down Kizaru, but they can't. Nothing can hit him. And I don't know, I thought we were gonna lose him, and it was like thinking about losing Zoro while lying helpless on the ground, dying, like that That would have killed me. That would have destroyed me. But Rayleigh came in and blocked the kick, which I have some theories around Rayleigh as well. They're probably all wrong. My Patreon seems to really think I'm wrong, so I probably am. But anyway, somehow, on top of everything else that Rayleigh can do, he can block this kick and he can freaking save Zoro. So these two face off while Usopp carries Zoro on his back, and Brook, I'm seeing you, Brook. Brook is making sure that Zoro's swords are safe too. That, to me, that moment alone proved that Brook is a part of the crew. That, I mean, him getting Zoro's back in a way that Zoro doesn't realize, it's not as blatant as what Sanji does. Zoro doesn't realize that Brook is looking out for him, but he does. That was a great moment for him. But when he picked up Zoro's swords and was protecting them while Usopp protected Zoro, that told me that he gets it. He gets this crew, and I have now embraced him as one of us. And all the while, Sanji is looking over his shoulder, eyes always on Zoro, making sure that he's gonna make it out okay. So then he even leaves Nami behind to be protected by Frankie, which I don't think I've ever seen Zoro do this. Like, Sanji. Sanji has always gone after, you know, protecting the ladies of the group, and, you know, he always is trying to be a gentleman. But in this moment, he leaves Nami to be protected by someone else so that he can go after Zoro and make sure Zoro's okay. That's something that I never thought I would see from him. I never thought I would get this dynamic I never thought that Sanji would do so much to save Zoro. But that's not even the end of it. Sanji takes a hit, and he's on the ground, and instead of saving himself, getting out of the way, continuing to fight, his focus is still on his other crew members, and he's screaming at them to go. That's where he puts his energy, instead of on rolling out of the way and continuing his fight. And I don't know, now I'm afraid for Sanji. Now I think Sanji's gonna die too. Monster Chopper shows up again, and then Bible Guy shows up and asks Zoro where he would want to go if he went on a trip. And he disappears him. And Luffy is just left on the ground screaming, "Somebody explain to me what happened to Zoro." Luffy went through so much in this arc. I mean, everybody did, but okay, I'll just keep going. But Bible Guy's not done. He's going around and he's taking them one by one. He takes Brook in the middle of a pun, which actually hits me this time because suddenly Brook is a part of the crew. I know I accepted him later than everybody else did, but I did, and that one hurt. And Sanji is like losing his mind over this as much as Luffy is, basically, because they're trying so hard to protect their crew. And so Sanji keeps fighting, as they always do. This crew always fights to the end. They never back down. They never stop. No matter what, even if they're being disappeared by the coming sunlight and they could just get into the shadows to protect themselves, it doesn't matter. They will always fight to the end. But this time, Luffy's really scared. And this time, Luffy is screaming at Sanji, "Run, please." And man, that one hit different. I can feel Luffy's desperation in this arc. I can feel how broken he is and how scared he is. Him wanting to run in and of itself shows me that. But there are panels like that one where he's just stumbling over his words, wondering like, what am I supposed to do at this point? That just destroyed my heart. But when his crew members keep disappearing and we get that panel of Luffy just on the ground crying, just broken, and he's left just saying, "I couldn't save any of them." Like, Luffy went through so much, and I mean, they all did. I really feel like every single character got a shining moment in this arc. Every single character got a shining moment in the fights and in the emotions and how hard they fought. But what hit me hardest was obviously Luffy, because he didn't want to keep fighting. He was begging his crew to stop fighting and to just run. And that is so opposite of who Luffy is, that I could just feel his pain as he's realizing that he's losing them, that they can't win this fight. And so his phrase at the beginning was, if I die trying, at least I tried, right? And that's been true to him throughout this entire series at this point. Like, I'm going to fight to the end, and I expect my crew to do the same, and we'll either make it out or we won't, but we're not going to give up. And at this point, he actually sees his crew, what he thinks is dying, and he doesn't understand it. He wasn't around when Bible Guy was doing it in the last arc. And to see that phrase that has, to me, kind of become, like, it's the lock screen on my phone. It's become who Luffy is to me. And to see him abandon that and beg his crew to run away. And then to just be on the ground broken because they didn't. And because he lost them was, man, it was hard for me. It was an emotional level that I hadn't hit yet with the series. And it was hard. So we end it with Luffy being erased too. So they're all gone. And it ended with Pawpaw, Bible Guy, telling them, I'm not going to see you again. And that's the beginning of the saga, not the end. What am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do now? My crew's gone. I know they're not dead, because we still have half of the series left to go in order for me to just catch up, and it's not even done being published. I know they're not dead, but I know that they're gone. I know that Zoro is really badly injured, and probably they're not all together. So probably no one is there to help him. I know that Luffy's probably going to be on his own somewhere, and he's probably going to be really broken too, because he doesn't know where his crew is or how to get to them or how to protect them. And I bet he's going to blame himself. Maybe I need to calm down a minute. I feel very overwhelmed by the emotion of this arc, by what I just saw my crew go through, by seeing them up their loyalty and up their loyalty and up their loyalty in every single arc. I mean, every single arc. Even Robin. I didn't even mention Robin, but oh my golly, what she must be going through after, Enies Lobby just happened. And after everything that she has gone through, and the reckoning that she just did, and then the acceptance of this crew, only to be separated from them again, I feel very overwhelmed. I don't feel equipped to continue reading. I'm going to continue reading. I'm going to finish out this saga before I do my reread. But this was just a lot. It was just a lot, and I guess I just don't have the words to really express how badly this one hurt me. Okay, I guess we'll do theories real quick, looking into the future a little bit, because, what else am I supposed to do at this point? So Pawpaw, Bible Pawpaw, he's a cyborg type thing, but also the guy, the big axe guy, who shouldn't be identified by his weapon, they are obviously creating more versions of him, but he's not version number 1. So I don't know what that means. I don't remember if he was number 2 or number 3. I don't know how many there are. Maybe there's only 4. Maybe we just met them all, or maybe there's a lot more of them. But the one who to me seems real, because he's the one that stands out and he's the one that people seem to, he's the warlord, right? It's not like all of these versions of him are warlords. So he's the real one, but he's not number 1. His number is either 2 or 3. So what does that mean? Did they start making other versions of him? Did they start making robot versions of him before they turned him into a cyborg? Did they turn him into a cyborg against his will? Like, they started making these robot versions of him, and then they were like, you'd be better as a robot too. And so then they just started experimenting on him? Did he volunteer for that? Also, there was one point where they told him to do something and he told them no. So in Thriller Bark, it was established that he's the only... Sorry, my camera just cut me off because I've been talking for too long. So in Thriller Bark, we established that he's the only one of the 7 warlords of the sea that implicitly follows what the Navy tells him to do. But in this scene, he's not doing that. In this scene, he's actually saying, I don't have to follow you in this context. So, does that mean, here's my theory. Here's my crackpot tinfoil hat theory. Does that mean that they started experimenting on robots and they made 1 or 2 versions of him, and then they took him captive, experimented on him, turned him into a cyborg, and in doing so somehow have created some sort of loyalty chip type thing to where he's required to follow commands by the Navy within certain parameters. And that's why he's the loyal one. Because there's a lot of things that happened here that I could theorize about. He stopped one of the versions of him from attacking the Straw Hats. He disappeared one of his own versions to the dismay of Big Axe Guy. So there's a few different things that have happened. What happened in Thriller Bark, where he didn't bring Luffy, even though he had a direct order to do so. The opt-out that he gave for Zoro, and for asking everybody, where would you like to go when he disappears them? I like to think that Ghost Girl is in a haunted castle somewhere, living her best life. I like to think that maybe he sent everybody to an island that would suit them as best as he could imagine. There are little things that Bible Guy has done that make me think that he's being controlled somehow, and he's doing everything he can to follow orders but still do right by people the best he can. They even said to him right before he disappeared Luffy, you should explain this to him. He deserves that, or something along those lines, which he didn't. He chose not to explain it to him, but there's clearly something that's happening that I don't understand yet. And they seem to be working together. Like, I know I trust Rayleigh. And I think that Rayleigh and Bible Guy, there's something there between them, right? Right? Anyway, Bible Guy also said to Luffy, you're never gonna see me again. So I wonder if in this scene, somehow he directly disobeyed orders, which kind of flies in the face of me thinking that he has some sort of chip that requires him to obey orders. But I'm thinking in this scene, he directly defied the orders, and now he's about to be severely punished. And that's why he told them, you're never gonna see me again, because he disappeared them to somewhere to protect them, because he should have brought in their heads. And we're still going to save Ace, and he's still going to join our crew, and he's still going to help Luffy become the king of pirates, and they're going to sail together as brothers and live happily ever after. Oh, and Rayleigh. I had a theory about Rayleigh too, which I'm pretty sure I'm already wrong about, because my patrons, as I was talking about this theory, they were really adamantly hinting that it was wrong. But Rayleigh, I haven't seen his devil fruit powers yet, and we know that... I don't have my laptop open anymore, so I can't see the guy's name, but the light guy. We know that light guy is light, and we know that Rayleigh is called the Dark King, or King of Darkness, something about the underworld. So I want to think that Rayleigh's powers have something to do with the darkness, even though we already have the black hole guy, Blackbeard. We already have Blackbeard, who I called Whitebeard too much. We already have Blackbeard, who has dark devil fruit powers, but surely there's more than one way that darkness can manifest in a devil fruit, even if they can't be duplicated. So I like to think that Rayleigh's devil fruit power is going to have to do with darkness, and that's why he could stop the kick of light guy, because their devil fruit powers are directly opposite, in opposition. I understand it's probably wrong, but I don't know what else to theorize about him, about why he could block that kick. Oh, also there was one other thing, this is super abstract and not even really a theory, but there was one line that said, it's not like they can create humans from scratch. And one thing that Oda regularly does is that he'll say something can't happen or say that we shouldn't do something, and then that's a pretty good indicator of exactly what's about to come. Like when Luffy was told not to, that the nobles are going to do something in front of you and you can't defy it. So we know that that means that Luffy is going to do exactly that. He's told not to touch one of these astronaut guys, so Luffy naturally is going to punch one of them, right? Like that's kind of a pattern in One Piece that Oda does as foreshadowing. He says something can't happen and then, and then he does it. So I like to think, and I could be totally wrong, maybe I'm proving myself to be a fool, but I like to think that that was some foreshadowing too, and that they can create humans from scratch, and that there's something really weird that we're gonna come across at some point. All right, I'm done now. This is gonna be a long video, and it wasn't even that long of a saga, and I'm so sorry about that. I really loved this arc. Did I just say it wasn't that long of a saga? It wasn't that long of an arc. I loved this arc. I didn't expect to. I thought it was okay for about half of it, and then it turned into something that I really didn't expect. It gave me a lot of information to chew on and to ponder and to guess about. It was great. I have no idea where we're going from here. None. But our crew better not be separated for very long. Or if they are, I really want to deep dive into what's going on in Zoro's head. Okay. I'll see you guys next week. Be sure to chat with me more. Check out my Patreon if you feel like it. Chat with me in the comments. Let me know what I messed up, what I missed, what I forgot. What are your favorite parts of the arc? I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you on my next One Piece Friday.